Today, we're going to insert the thesis, what is the difference between a freedom fighter and a terrorist? Is Elijah a terrorist or a freedom fighter? I hope you enjoy. A freedom fighter is a person who takes part in a resistance movement against an oppressive political or social establishment. A terrorist is an advocate or practitioner of terrorism as a means of coercion. Some key quotes that I have chosen from the novel is, if we must become more unjust and inhumane than those who have been unjust and inhumane to us, then we shall do so, on page 22. This means that he must do what he must do in order to be free from all the trauma that he has gone through. The second quote that I have picked is, murder will not be our profession, but our duty. He finds it to be his duty to murder if it will free the people that are like him, that are going through similar situations. Jacob Blankley is the Holocaust survivor that I have chosen to research. He lived in a town called Machal Mazowski, which was about 49 miles from Warsaw. The Germans were in his hometown within 2 days, using the synagogue as a stable and destroying every Jewish symbol that they saw in their way. The Jews had to be identified by a Star of David. The Jews were transported to the ghettos and concentration camps, which Joseph Blankley survived. After 2 weeks, he was moved to Malau ghettos, where he stayed for 10 days and worked until he was transferred. His transfer journey to Auschwitz began. He was only 16 when he arrived at Auschwitz. When he arrived, he was surrounded by women and men. They took the women, which was including his mother and sister, straight to the gas chambers and a crematoria after. Then men got divided into two groups. One group went to the gas chambers and the other group went to Auschwitz. This is the group that he was in. They did work and traveled for months. People died, escaped, and some survived during these months. Then one day, American soldiers arrived and liberated them. To answer the question, is he a freedom fighter or a terrorist? I think that he is a freedom fighter. Walid Abu al-Kahar is the Middle Eastern activist that I have chosen to research. He was born in Judah. He is a Saudi Arabian human rights activist who defends those whose rights are under attack. Walid was harassed, interrogated, kept under surveillance, and banned from traveling by the Saudi Arabian authorities for 4 years before his detention. He was sentenced to 15 years as a punishment for discussing and defending human rights. He was the first human rights activist to be tried and sentenced under the new anti-terrorism law. While he was in prison, he went on a hunger strike to protest against the prison authorities who were not providing him with the medical care that he needed due to his diabetes and intestinal complications. He dedicated his life to calling on the Saudi Arabian government to respect human rights. He legally represented many victims of human rights violations. He has written over 300 articles addressing legal and human rights issues. To answer the question, is he a freedom fighter or a terrorist? I think he's a freedom fighter. To link all of these stories together, to get over his traumatic experience, Walid Abu al-Kahar wrote over 300 articles about human rights and legal reform. Jacob Blankley did not use music, writing, art, or anything to overcome his trauma. Walid Abu al-Kahar is changing the world for the better by telling his story as well as by defending people whose rights are under attack. Elijah changed the world for the better by fighting for freedom. All three of these men are freedom fighters. Is Elijah a terrorist or freedom fighter? Elijah is a freedom fighter. I say this because that is what he wanted at the beginning of the book. Elijah agreed to join the movement in order to strike fear in the hearts of the English. If we must become more unjust and inhumane than those who have been unjust and inhumane to us, then we shall do so. Elijah is fighting for freedom. Murder will not be our profession, but our duty. I hope you enjoyed and got a better understanding as to why I think all three of these men are freedom fighters and not terrorists. Thank you.